He's an Army veteran who never imagined himself in the theater, but now he's co-created a stage production that tells his story in hopes to help other veterans. Take a look.
If our view of the veterans is one of disease orientation, of post-traumatic stress syndrome, of disorder, if you assume that there's something wrong with people, if you do it long enough, expectations are very strong. There's also something called post-traumatic growth, where you come out of a situation like that and you actually feel kinder toward your fellow man, fellow woman, that you are actually a better husband, father. You actually have a closer relationship with your God.
I challenge myself to do better. I push myself to grow. I become the example I couldn't find, not because it's not out there. For generations, veterans have been doing amazing things, and they're still doing them.
Cool stuff. James Poling is a former infantry staff sergeant in the 82nd Airborne, and Dominic Farinacci, close enough. He is a musician, and together they are the co-creators of Modern Warrior, a new production that is airing tonight in New York City. So if you're in New York City, you can catch it, but it's also going to be on a national tour. James, I want to start with you. You served in the 82nd Airborne, 3 tours in Afghanistan. You were a 240 gunner. You were a staff sergeant, meaning you were a squad leader. You were in the thick of some serious combat. How was transition for you?
Yeah, so I didn't come from a military family, and when I got out, I'd moved to Cleveland. And in Cleveland, I wasn't connected to any veteran organizations. So as I would look around, the 3 groups of veterans that I would see in the media, you'd have kind of your damaged group of veterans, or they would be portrayed that way, the liability group and the hero group. And I could easily look and say, okay, I'm not this hero group, so am I this damaged group or this liability group? Because we have shared experiences, and I don't see another option here. At the same time, I mean, I was just fighting for 8 years, and I really hadn't had time to process that. So when I sat down and really started getting into that, it was a concern of mine. After I was able to kind of work through it, though, I was able to realize that those experiences were actually helping me find success.
Well, but not everyone works through it. The problem is that the thin line between a damaged or a liability veteran, having served myself, knowing that you can float between them, and you know people who can rapidly descend. First of all, Dominic, you're helping put this together. How did you two link up?
So we met in our hometown in Cleveland at the community college, the Tri-C, and I got to read his writing, and I was learning a song by Tom Waits from my last album. It's called Soldier's Thing. It's about a soldier coming back from war, and I wanted to really learn more about what that song meant, having no background. So through a mutual friend, I got to meet James and hear his story, and you know, I quickly realized there's always this kind of divide between the civilian and veteran communities, and somebody, you know, not having a real, you know, a veteran background, of course, you know, we don't sometimes know how to communicate, especially with combat veterans. Is that wall. We say thank you for your service, but we don't really know what that means. So hearing James's story and meeting so many guys who he served with, you know, we wanted to tell that story. And when we were working on it, he sent me this link of General Mattis talking about post-traumatic growth. And that's something that I never heard of before. And, you know, it really struck a chord, and it really kind of, you know, it just kind of brought everything into focus in terms of his story.
You know, James, there's such a thin line between identifying the problems and challenges that veterans face and stigmatizing them. And how in this production are you threading that needle to say, hey, we can see that post-traumatic improvement?
Definitely, yeah. And so, first of all, I never want to, you know, we'd never want to marginalize a group. And so in the show, I say that I understand some people might see me as an exception, but I felt like there needed to be something out there for the guys like me getting out saying, okay, wait a minute, maybe I can look back at my experiences and find a more positive filter for this. And that was kind of the goal there. But yeah, it's something that we're very delicate with.
Absolutely. Dominic, so first of all, where can folks find more information about this? And then second of all, if and when they go, what do you hope their big takeaway would be?
So yeah, so modernwarriorlive.org, and also our Facebook page and all social media with plenty of...
modernwarriorlive.org. We'll make sure we put that website up on the screen.
That's right. And our goal, you know, the reason why we're doing this through music, through the multimedia, and through the theater, is because we want to bring people of all different walks of life together, right? To hear this story. Music always provides, you know, that pathway to empathy and that bridge building of dialogue. And that's ultimately what we want to do, build dialogue between the veteran and civilian communities. And for folks like me, who have no background, you know, to really hear this story. And the way that the story is presented, this story is a story of humanity. It's a timeless story, and we all can see part of ourselves in it, you know, grow through adversity.
James, last question here. I presume veterans that have seen this have given you feedback. How have veterans reacted?
Yeah, so actually after the show, we hang out, we sit at the edge of the stage, and we invite everybody to just stay for a discussion. We pass microphones around. And I've been amazed at the feedback. I mean, we've had veterans from, you know, all conflicts. We've had children of veterans, parents, friends of veterans say that they can understand each other better. We feel like the show really provides a kind of a base where everybody has a shared experience, and it gives a starting point to that conversation.
Yeah, and I bet a lot of vets who don't know where to start with that conversation, or at least to have an honest one that leads in the right direction, and that's what this production is meant to do.